Hello and welcome to the Cute Baby tutorials using Gimp. I may do a few things in this video, so if you want to go straight to one of the main sections, then the times they start are shown on your screen now. These videos are also available in higher definition on my website, along with any original files I'm allowed to give you in case you want to work on the same image as me. Just click on the link below. Okay, here we go. This is a picture of my youngest son when he was about 2 or 3 days old, and when he was born it took a couple of days for his liver to start functioning properly. Apparently it's a very common thing that happens, but he did get a little bit jaundiced, which meant that he turned a little bit yellow, and you can see that in this picture here. So I'd like to try and correct that. So we'll do what we usually do. We'll create a folder, call it fix, make a duplicate of the original file and call that base, and we're going to drag that into the fix folder. Okay, so we're ready to go. Now I'll do what I normally do and get the overall contrast sorted out. So I'll go to levels, and yeah, we can do some work here. So we'll take the white triangle, drag it down, make these pixels the new white, and we'll take the black and drag it. And this is something I've said before, the more you increase the contrast, the more you get quite vibrant colors. Now that is definitely an orange baby. We need to do something about that. So let's take that layer, duplicate it, call it saturation, and we'll open up the hue saturation dialog box. Okay, it looks pretty. What does it do? Well, if you come over here, I've opened up the color wheel on the color picker box. Now you can see you've got all the colors of the spectrum laid out in a circle. You've got reds going through to orange, yellow, green, cyan there, blue, bit of purple there, magenta, and back to red. You can see here you've got the same layout: red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, magenta, and you've got the master, which is just enabled at the moment. So if I want to make global changes, let's just take the saturation down, and that's quite a nice effect, but it's not really what we're looking for. Instead, this comes into its own when you start to click on the individual buttons. Now I need to try and correct the yellow and the red, so click on the yellow. Let's see what this does. Okay, I'm exaggerating to make a point, but okay, you can see the pixels here which are being affected by this yellow slider. It's too narrow a range of pixels to be selected, so come to the overlap slider, start sliding it up, and you can see it's starting to affect more pixels, a wider range of pixels. I'm going to set that to around about the 50 mark. Now let's take this, slide it down, see what happens. Okay, I'm starting to get a more natural skin tone there. Also, let's take a look at the red. Slide the saturation down here as well. Yeah, that's starting to work much better. I can change the saturation and make it greater or less, but I can also change the lightness of the affected pixels. Yeah, that's starting to work quite nicely. I can even change the hue. I can make it a green baby. You see how it's just affecting the kind of reddish areas? That's very useful. Or I can make it a magenta baby. So let's take a look. That's about at 0. Let's make him just a little bit more pink for now, and up the lightness a little bit more. Let's go back to yellow. Could we do with making that a bit lighter? Yeah, a little bit, yes. What about the hue? Yeah, I can do that as well, but be a bit careful with that. And I'll okay that and see what we've got. Right, let's check that against the original image. Yellow baby, less yellow baby. Now, the way to do it is to tweak. Let's go back to color balance this time, and let's see if we can make some overall changes here. Let's take a look at, well, I want the shadows to be just a little bit bluer. I'm just touching it just a tiny little bit here. Okay, I'll go with that. Midtones. These are tiny little movements here. What about that magenta? No, leave that where it is. And OK that. OK, well that baby's looking a little bit healthier than it was before, and also the overall contrast has got a little bit better. OK, I'll go with that. I wanted to revisit a photograph that I covered in a previous tutorial on using color balance. Now, because color balance doesn't affect the saturation of the color, what I have ended up with is some rather saturated greens. Now, English greens don't look like that. That looks like AstroTurf to me, so I want to do something about that. So, go to Hue Saturation, see what we can do. Well, okay, grass is green, so let's click on green. Put up the overlap so I'm affecting a fair amount of pixels and try taking that down. Not a lot's happening there. Now the reason for that is, well, okay, grass may be green, but it's the yellows that need correcting here. So let's go to yellow. It's actually got a slightly yellowish cast. So let's take the saturation down. Yeah, now I'm getting more the effect that I'm looking for. That's more like a natural grass tone. How about the lightness? Don't really need to change the lightness that much. Maybe make it a little bit more intense. There. What about the hue of it? Can I shift that around a little bit? That's a bit more salad green. Kind of prefer that. What am I doing with this hue shift? Well, take a look at the color wheel here. I'm affecting the yellow parts. Now, I'm not affecting the green parts, they stay the same. I'm not affecting the red parts, they stay the same. What I'm doing is, when I do the hue shift, I'm shifting where that yellow is around the wheel slightly towards the green a little bit more in this case. So it ends up having a more natural look to the grass. Alright, so let's quickly check the greens as well for the look of the thing. Take the saturation down, maybe. Take the lightness up. No, that's not going to work. Take that there. Leave that there. Oh, okay. What about the reds? Do I need to do anything with that? That's not going to make much difference to the grass. It is making a difference to the faces, but that wasn't the problem. So we'll go with that. Check that against the original photograph. Not nice bright green. That works better. Okay, just one final note on this. For some of these color tutorials, the color changes have been quite subtle, and they may even look a bit strange on your screen. Bear in mind that I make the changes on my screen. It goes through the video capture software, then it goes through the video editing software, then it gets encoded onto YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, and then it comes out through your monitor, which has its own particular color balance. So if there's any time you see things and you think, well, that doesn't look quite right, bear in mind that what you're seeing is a little bit different from what I'm seeing, and I hope you'll make allowances for that. Alright, I think that's about time to wrap this up. Thanks for listening. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, maybe you consider clicking on one of the links below and check out my game called Disco Baby, which is on the iTunes Store or Android stores like Google Play. It has 3 different games in it: a memory game, a maths game for children, and a dance along with me game for toddlers to join in with. Thanks for your time.